Yo, it is the Fantasy NBA today. Hi, Rick Kamla, Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. Look at that shiny plaque right over his left shoulder from the FSWA. Damn right, folks. It's the Fantasy NBA today with Dr. A. What's up, Doc?
I'm just watching my boy Bryce Elder pitch on TV, feeling good about it.
No, you're not. So over his left shoulder, he's got the Hall of Fame plaque. Over his right shoulder, he's got the picture of him and Deion Sanders from back in the day. Got it all hooked up, man.
Lucas Shue is there. In front of me, I have Bryce Elder in all his glory. Mm-hmm. Rick and I are in the middle of a fantasy basketball throwdown.
You mean baseball?
Cage match. What did I say?
You said basketball because this is a basketball show.
Baseball. We're in a baseball cage match right now, and it's all hands on deck. It's a code red.
It is 5-3 Cam right now with a long way to go. And yes, Doc has already played the crying strategy that happened on night 1 in week 3 of the fantasy baseball season. Yes, that happened. All right, guys, let's tell you about our sponsor, BetOnline. They do not allow the crying strategy at betonline.com. Actually, maybe they do. But the world's most trusted betting platform is BetOnline. They're your number one source for all the sports betting action. And there's so much going on right now. Baseball's in full swing. We're into the home stretch for the NBA. The NHL playoffs are fired up. There's all kinds of stuff going on over there. Some great games already. They have more ways for you to stay in the action with the latest odds, news, scores. They have live in-game betting, which I love. While the games are being played, the odds change and, they go on a 13-1 run. This team's right. Boom, pounce on it. Activate that vibe, okay, and monetize it with the largest selection of odds and everything from the MLB, NHL, UFC. BetOnline remains your number one online source for sports wagering information. In between games, why don't you head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and a live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here. So on our previous episode, we got started here with the fantasy basketball busts or fantasy players that underperformed their ADPs versus their end-of-season value, okay? So you can check out that episode at Ethos Fantasy NBA, at Rick Kamla Sports, at Doctora, as I say, at Dr. A on Twitter. It'll be out there from all of us at Sports Ethos, at Fantasy NBA. It'll be out there with all that stuff. All right, so D'Angelo Russell, as we start part 2 of this, because there were volumes of these players where their ADP did not match their end-of-season value at all. D'Angelo Russell, 75th ADP. What were you all thinking? Like legit. He ended up 140th, which is a minus 65. 8 cat totals, he was 168. 9 cat per game, 167. 9 cat totals, 187. Dr. A, is this the new normal for D-Lo, or should we expect some positive regression next
year? You know, before I get into that, you mentioned how much you love live betting on BetOnline. Is there anything better than catching like a team getting ready to go on a heater and they're like -3 to win the game, and then you look at it 5 minutes later and now they're -9 or 10, and you're like, I did it. Like it's so fun. I love it.
Can I give you a quick story, dude? So the
absolutely
game 2.
I just don't want to talk. I just don't want to talk about D'Angelo Russell. So yes, whatever you need to say.
And I don't want to talk about Bryce Elder. So game 2, Knicks and Pistons. I had a feeling that the Pistons were going to win the game because they were kind of up 10, 11, stuff like that, right? It was like late third, early fourth. And I'm like, the Knicks are going to make a run here. I think the Knicks are going to make a little run here. And I think they're probably going to lose, but I think the line was like 6.5, right? The Knicks were plus 6.5 at this point. I'm like, screw it. I banged it. I won that by a half point, Doc. They lost the game by 6. And I was getting 6.5. So I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just letting you know that's the kind of live betting vibe that it is. Okay, Detroit's like swelling a little bit, but then the numbers down here at 6.5. So there's that wiggle room right there. And then a lot of times when maybe the favorite has that lead, the live in-game line will be right at what the score is. Like that OKC Memphis game too. OKC'd be up 17. The live betting line was like 17.5. The Lakers and Minnesota game, because the Lakers were favored to win. So the elevated live betting point spread matched the score of the game because the Lakers were already doing what we thought they were going to do. And so I am completely fascinated and completely in love with live betting. To the point, Doc, where if you said, hey, Cam, there's a great concert in Tampa tonight on a 3-game playoff night, I may be like, yo, I'm in the lab trying to make money here off live betting. I can't go see the show tonight. Like, that's how in to the playoffs and into live betting I am right now. All right, D-Lo. Should we expect positive regression from D-Lo?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on where he ends up. I mean, he played 29 games for the Dodgers. I got baseball on my brain, bro. He played 29 minutes for the Lakers. No, he played 29 games for the Lakers last year. He played 29 games for Brooklyn last year. The numbers were shite in both places. There is 12 points and 2.8, exactly 2.8 rebounds, 2.4, 2.5 assists. It was a crappy year any way you sliced it for D'Angelo. If you look at his seasons before that, his scoring average, like the lowest it's ever been, is 13. This is the worst season of his entire career. So I don't know if this is normal or not. He's going to be 30 around the time the All-Star game happens next year. He's getting up there a little bit. I just don't trust D'Angelo Russell. I'm out on D'Angelo Russell.
Me too. I do not expect positive regression from D'Angelo Russell. I think this is the new normal for him no matter what team he's on. He is fading into oblivion right now. D'Lo needs to embrace a bench role a la Russell Westbrook if he wants to stay in the league. The league is no longer looking at D'Angelo Russell as an all-star. They're no longer looking at him as a max player. They're no longer looking at him as a starter, I believe. I think they're looking at him as a bucket getter off of their bench. I mean, Ben Simmons is a bench player right now. Ben Simmons has done more in this league than D'Angelo Russell has. So I think this is the new norm for him. How about Jonas Valanciunas, Doc? ADP, pardon me, ADP of 91 coming into the year. And he was with Washington. Again, what were y'all thinking? You didn't see the season going sideways with the Wizards? You didn't see it? We told you. Anyway, 91st ADP coming into the year. Ended up 151, minus 60. 8 cat totals, he was 80th. 9 cat per game, he was 156. 9 cat totals, he was 81st. He played 81 games, all right? Is this the new norm for Jonas? Not Jonas, Doc, but Jonas. Or should we expect some positive regression?
Another good question. I didn't study these guys' contracts before we came on, but, you know, he's playing behind...
Doc, I did. So Jonas has 2 years left under contract. He signed a 3-year deal with Washington and then got traded. So you got 2 years left.
All right. So he's in Sacramento behind Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis was great again this year. And even when Sabonis was out, Valanciunas just didn't do a whole lot. And if he's going to be stuck behind Sabonis again this year, this coming season, then I think it's just going to be more of the same. I'm not expecting greatness from Jonas Valanciunas unless the Sabonis really catches a bad injury.
Yeah, I did. You called him Jonas. I love this. And it's not Yves Missi, it's Yves Missi. Like all of these names that we've had to figure out throughout the year here, man. But Andre keeps us honest with the pronunciation guide. I may even be able to at some point pronounce the name of the bench player for the Nets with the it's like the eye chart, like the eye test thing. I may even be able to one day pronounce his name. God bless that young fella. This is the new normal for Jonas Valanciunas. He's an aging player. He's not like done. I still think he'll be a double-double with starters minutes, kind of like a Clint Capella, but he's behind Sabonis. You got the Lithuanian connection there, and I think Sack likes him. I don't know. Sack trades him. We can have a different conversation, but right now I expect more of same next year, and I do not expect a positive regression. Jonas Valanciunas is not draftable as we sit here right now. Paolo Banchero came into the year with an ADP of 35. Well done, everybody. And he ended up 91st, which is kind of crazy. That's a minus 56 in ranking spots from his ADP preseason to how he ended the year. His 8 cat totals were 178. Obviously missed 30-some games with the oblique. 9 cat per game, he was 131st, which is very mysterious to me. And his 9 cat totals, 209. So you're telling me 9 cat per game, there were 130 better players than Paolo Banchero based on averages. That's insanity, okay? So based on these wonky numbers that I really don't understand, I would say no. I expect a lot of positive regression from Paolo Banchero. Doc, his PRA increase went from 22-7-5 to 26-7-5. A lot of the numbers were the same. He went from 1.53s to 1.93s. He really didn't do much defensively in blocks and steals, same as last year. I don't understand how Paolo had a 9 cat per game of 131. I actually went to basketballreference.com, did digging, trying to find how, why. I literally, I'm hands to God. Oh, because he's not a great free throw shooter. These algorithms way overweight the percentages. I mean, they way overweight the percentages. It's not even close to me. If you're banging on a 26-7-5 PRA, saying that guy's 131st overall and 9 cat per game, Doc, help me make sense of that.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. He averaged 29 points, 8 boards, 5 dimes, a steal, a half block, 2 threes over his last 24 games. That was just over the last 24. But, I mean, he was awesome during that stretch. Shot 48 and 79. I mean, if the free throw shooting and the lack of blocks is enough to knock him down that far, give it to me, and I'll find those somewhere else. I love Paolo. I wrote about him in today's, it's out today or yesterday or whatever. The dynasty buy low sell high. Banchero was on that list. He was at the bottom of the list because I went in order, and he was like 11th round value somehow this year. So yeah, I love Paolo, and I wasn't really into Paolo the year before last season, but I'm kind of sold on him. I think maybe had he not gotten hurt with the weirdest 2 forwards on the same team having the same oblique injury, I think it might have been a different story for him. He may have gotten more in a groove, but I love Paolo, man.
Paolo is, when Doc is taking Dyson Daniels in the 3rd round next year, I'll be taking Paolo Banchero. That's how that's going to go. When Doc is taking Josh Giddey in the 3rd round next year, I'll be taking Paolo Banchero. I love Paolo Banchero. And he's been an availability guy outside of that chunk that he missed with a significant injury. I'm not mad at him. How about Fred VanVleet? I'm mad at him. He literally shot the Rockets out of game 1. What happens in game 2? We shall see. But Fred VanVleet came in with an ADP of 39th, understandably so, okay? The threes, the steals, the assists, pretty good goodie guy, right? He came out of the season at 85. 39 to 85, that's a minus 49. 8 cat totals, he was 90th. 9 cat per game, he was 74th. 9 cat totals, 84th. Is this the new norm for FBB, or should we expect positive regression next year, Dr. A?
It all depends on where he goes. I don't think he's going to be back in Houston. And if he goes to a team that's already locked and loaded at point guard, it's not going to be a good situation. If you go to a team where they need a point guard, he could totally return to relevance. But the thing that really bothered me about Freddie VanVleet this year is down the stretch of the season. His final 20 games, he shot 34% from the floor. Like every night was 4 of 14, 4 of 17, 5 of 6. Like it's just bad night after night. And then the first game of the playoffs, what's he do? 4 of 19 in a loss to we just talked about it. He was used to playing the
Golden State.
In a loss to Golden State. 4 of 19. He's supposed to be the leader of that team. He's the locker room guy. He's the old veteran. And it's been horrible. Like at this point, Rick and I think, agree. I just want him out of the way so the kids can do their thing. Like get him off the team.
Doc, when you get a ladybug on your shoulder, I do this softly, but you go like this. You just go, ding. You just like kind of ding, and then it flies away, right? You don't hurt the ladybug. I'm not sinister around here. If it's a mosquito, it's whack, or I'm killing the damn mosquito. Ladybug, you just kind of go, dook, you just kind of flip it off your shoulder. That's what I'm doing with Fred VanVleet if I'm the Rockets. I ain't trying to hurt you or wound you or maim you on the way out, but you got to go. Ding.
And
you don't got to leave.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And sticking with yesterday's show's theme, Fred VanVleet's 31. His best years are behind him. He's starting to head into the sunset eventually here in the next 2 or 3 years. I think his name is going to be bigger than his game the rest of the way.
I love that take. I do totally agree. FVV is garbage right now. He literally shot the Rockets out of game one. That was his fault. That loss is at his feet. He should have been in the locker room after the game. I don't know if he did or not. He should have been like, yo, man, the loss on me. I take the blame for that loss. But he's not going to do that because he's entering a contract situation and doesn't want to shine the negative light on himself, and understandably so. But he right now is a pretty terrible player. He's not making shots. He's not impacting the defensive end. He's not making teammates better. He's just a guy living off a big name, like Doc said. He's entitled, living off the past. I mean, the shot selection, the overall effort in game one, it's like, bro, you are half-assing a playoff game right now. And you're a champion. You have done this before. What are you doing? Like, for Fred VanVleet to selfishly chalk up 19 shots when every single shot was a hope ball. Hope ball comes from Jameis Winston, the quarterback, the interception-prone quarterback in the NFL. Jameis Winston's getting sacked. He's literally a foot off the ground, and he throws the ball up in the air, and it's intercepted in return for a touchdown. And you're like, what are you doing? Just take the sack. It's a hope ball, okay? That's what a hope ball is. You hope it's caught by your side. Fred VanVleet's throwing up hope balls right now, okay? It's not good. Doc, I did go around the league, okay? There are 4, this looks like 8. I'll give you 4 teams that might be in a, and look, Houston may stupidly bring him back, a move that me and Doc will bang on them for if they make it, okay? The reports are that there's mutual interest in doing this thing over again. Why the fuck would you want to do that if you're Houston? Let him go. We have paid $30-40 million to suck ass out of your team. What are you doing here? Let him go. Game 1, that's the death knell right there, buddy. 4 of 19, I ain't re-signing you. Anyway, Doc, the Miami Heat, maybe. The Washington, well, like if Miami gets involved in some big trade and Houston and Phoenix and Durant, and I don't know, maybe VanVleet goes to damn Miami. I don't know. But I had to really reach to find possible spots for him. Washington, I mean, it's a no. They have Bub Carrington. You have Jordan Poole, but okay, I brought him up. Other than these 4 teams, Doc, Miami, Washington, Brooklyn, and Phoenix, okay? The other 26 teams, good to go. They either have a young hotshot, they've got a mature stud. They don't need a point guard, okay? You've got Phoenix, Brooklyn, Washington, Miami. That's it. Or he could go back to Houston. So the options are dwindling for Freddie V.
Yeah, they are. It sounds like you and I are both out on. Like I just think his name is bigger than his game. He's going to be overdrafted again next year, even though he sucked for the last 3 months. Somebody will still take him in the 4th, 5th round next year.
All right, so let's move on here. It is the Fantasy NBA today. It is Rick Kamla. It is Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. And we move on to Emmanuel quickly, Doc. Came into the season with an ADP of 54, came out with a ranking of 103rd. That's a minus 50. All right, 8 cat totals, 263rd, 9 cat per game, 106th, 9 cat totals, he was 262. Is this the new norm for them, for Emmanuel quickly, Doc, or should we expect some positive regression next season?
I wrote about him in my buy low, sell high dynasty column that you can read on Sports Ethos right now. And I've got him as a buy low because last year was a disaster. He came in injured. I don't know that he ever really got healthy. He only appeared in 33 games for Toronto. and they were a weird team. Like Scotty Barnes underperformed. Quickly was non-existent. RJ Barrett was fun for half the season and then not fun for the second half. The center situation was a mess. So they were weird last year. I'm hoping that we get more normalcy in Toronto land next year. He averaged 17 points and almost 6 assists in the games he played in, but it was just sort of a lost season. I feel like most of those guys in Toronto were kind of going through the motions. So I think he's going to bounce back and have a good year next year.
I'm going to let you rock with that, Doc. I looked at quickly last year to this year, right? The numbers are almost identical. He didn't become a different statistical player. He's the same guy. He's at like 0.9 or 1 steals. Like Doc said, 17 points, about 6 assists, about 4 rebounds, about 2 threes per game. The percentages were about what they were the year before. Not a whole lot of difference, guys. Okay, perception-wise, with the lack of playing time for now 2 years in a row, all that stuff may be coming into play here. But to me, this is the new norm for Emmanuel Quickley. I mean, he's been the same guy the last 2 years. I kind of expect him to be the same guy next year. So, like, I don't expect positive regression. I expect about what we're getting. But, Doc, I think there's downside here. I actually think he may be worse next year because Brandon Ingram is there with RJ Barrett, with Scotty Barnes, with Emmanuel Quickley, with Jakob Poeltl. You have Grady Dick. You have Ochai Agbaji. Like, and they're probably going to be bench players and stuff, but they're nipping at your heels for playing time. And so the waters are muddy there right now. And Toronto's going to make a big draft pick here. I'm 99% sure they have their draft pick. It might be Cooper Flagg. So I'm good. I'm good. And I told you that I was out on Quickley coming into the year because I feared the tank situation. And there was one league where he fell. And I was like, I'll take Emmanuel Quickley, and it's super late in the draft. And he, even like in the 8th or 9th round or wherever I got him, he still was a major disappointment with all the DNPs. Okay, so I will not be going back there next year. Let's bring up Klay Thompson. Came into the year with an ADP of 108th. Came out with a ranking of 156th. That's a minus 48. 8 cat totals, he was 111. 9 cat per game, he was 147. Barely inside the Brew 150. And then 9 cat totals, he was 108, and he played 72 games, which is a good number for Klay. But the other numbers kind of suck. Is this the new norm for big game Klay, or do you expect some positive regression next year for the crappy Mavs?
You know, I thought this was the year for Klay. Like, if he was going to bounce back and if he was going to regain his form, I thought it was going to happen this year with Luka, and then the trade happened, and in Klay's exit interview, they were like, "Is this what you expected when you signed up to play with Dallas?" And he was like, "Don't do that to me, man. Don't do it. Don't ask me that, man."
My boy Klay, man. Tell him what's up, Klay.
His spirit is crushed. He's like, this is not at all what I signed up for. Nico's crazy. Our owner is crazy. They've gotten rid of all the staff, all the medical staff that helped us all.
Just blew them out, man. I mean, wow.
It's just awful. And his point guard, Kyrie, isn't even going to play till January or February. No, it's over. And he's had how many surgeries has Klay had on his Achilles, his lower legs, his extremities, like
ACL and Achilles?
I like Klay. I wanted Klay to bounce back this year and go off, but I don't think we're going to see. He can't move on defense anymore. If you can't play defense, it's hard to justify having you in the game for offense.
I'm a huge Klay Thompson guy, one of my all-time favorite players. And in fantasy, in fantasy, it's not about fanboy. It's about, blood and guts, man. And if you're not helping me win, you're dead to me. Klay Thompson is a waiver wire guy right now. It sucks. I hate that I'm saying this. I wish I could tell you differently, but he's a waiver wire guy. He's Tim Hardaway Jr. in a brand name jersey. That's what he is, okay? So he's not even draftable to me. Alperen Sengun, ADP of 27, end season ranking 70th. That's a minus 43, Doc. We're going the wrong way. 8 cat totals, he was 47th. 9 cat per game, he was 90th, which is, again, the percentages probably being way overvalued over counting numbers. And then 9 cat totals, he was 62nd. Is this the new norm for Alpi, or should we expect positive regression next year?
You know, the free throw shooting kind of sucks. It's right at 70 or right below it. And he's a big who doesn't block a ton of shots. Like, he's never averaged one block shot a game. He's 0.8, 0.9, 0.7, but he's not 1. And then steals the same thing. Like, steals are just barely right at 1. So you add in free throws, lack of blocks, and he's not a three-point shooter either. So there's no threes, there's no blocks, there's limited blocks and steals. Still turns it over a decent amount of time for what he is. I don't really care. I still kind of like Alperen Sengun. Rick, I have a prediction that you and Andre are going to make a trade in Cam Dynasty, because Andre now has my team, and my team has Alperen Sengun on it. It's no longer my team. And Andre's already let it known that he's looking to trade Alpi, and I think Rick is an Alpi guy. So I'm interested to see how that goes down. But, let's look at this too. Sengun is 22 years old. Plenty of time for him to get better. And I like the way he sees the court. I think he's a good passer. I think once Houston gets their final championship ready lineup together, he's going to play a huge part in it, and I'm good with it, man. I think he's going to get better each year.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. We were talking before we went on the air with the great Andre Lemouche about Alpi, this prep for this show and stuff, and he mentioned that he may be looking to trade him. And yes, Alpi is a guy that I would be looking to pick up. I'm a PRA guy. PRA in fantasy gold. He's not great at fantasy gold, but he is great at PRA. And I don't care at all about percentages. So Alpi does fit a stat set for me that I rock with. And the tiebreaker in the Cam Dynasty playoffs is total PRA for the week. And that's big because it's an 8-category league. We don't play turnover. So you could actually have a 4-4 playoff game, at which point you go to the total points plus rebounds plus assists for my team versus your team, and who wins is the guy that has the most. And so PRA should be prioritized by the managers in this league. It should be, okay? Because it is the ultimate decider in a tied playoff scenario. So Alpi's a great PRA guy. Yes. But Andre already, Doc, has started the negotiations. He said Rick would have to be generous, ! LOL. I already know one thing. And I'm going to go here because I want this experience. I have a feeling, and I'm not saying I'm the easiest guy to deal with, but I have a feeling that Andre Lemouche is going to be very, very difficult to craft a trade with, because not that he's unfriendly or hard to deal with. I just think that his valuation of players, my valuation of players, I'm not sure we'll have a connection. And it's all about how each side values players. It's not about being a nice guy, or it's not about any of that. It's about valuation of player, valuation of assets. So I'm just not sure if we are going to land on the same page here, but we're going to try. He said, I do a bunch of trades with everyone at all times. Haha. Guess what, Andre? Me too. And I do consider myself a very reasonable trader. There are some guys, there's a fantasy sports boss whose name will stay out of this, okay? And he's an absolute badass. I've lost every trade I've made with this guy, and it's probably been 3 or 4 over the years, baseball, football, and I've lost every trade with this guy because the negotiations get so brutal that oh, God, we've been doing this for 2 weeks. Screw it. I'll take the trade. And then it's like a total disaster because the guy just grinded me into sand. You know what I mean? And so I won't deal with that guy anymore. So anyway, let's reel it back in here. And I probably will be making I'll probably be doing some fishing for Alpi. But my take on Alpi, okay? Is this the new form for him, or should we expect positive regression? Like, I don't even really, like, pardon me. I'm getting all freaked out here. I don't know how to answer that with Alperen Sengun. I really don't. Yeah, is this the new form for him? Like, is that a bad thing? I don't think this is a bad thing. Do I expect positive regression? Like, from what? Like, I mean, he's not coming out of wreckage here, like D'Lo, okay? So I just expect him to continue to get a little bit better each year. Here's the year-by-year thing with Alpy, okay? Last year, he was 21, 9, and 5. This year, 19, 10, and 5, okay? So we're basically at a 20, 10, and 5 clip. How are you not excited about that? I'm excited about that. He is at 1.9 stocks last year and this year. We know he's not a big block guy, but he's a pretty damn good steal guy. And you add it up, it's 1.9 stocks. That's pretty good. Okay, he went from 54% shooting last year to 50 this year. Okay, still 50% shooter. Not that I care, but okay, you're still looking good there. And then the threes went from a half per game to 0.3 per game. And hopefully he gets his Brook Lopez on and adds that to his game. And hopefully Andre trades him to me this offseason. And then next year is that Bam Adebayo, Evan Mobley, boom, I'm going to become a 1-3 ball per game big. So hopefully that all happens here. But I'm into Alperen Sengun, and that'll be a nice little subplot for us here as me and Andre maybe get into some dealings over Alperen Sengun. And I know a lot of you are like, could we ever see Andre? No, he's Charlie from Charlie's Angels, okay? He will have a presence, but you will not see him, and that's how he wants it. Doc, Alex Caruso's next up here, ADP of 103rd. Does Andre even know what Charlie's Angels is, by the way? Alex Caruso, ADP of 103rd. Do you 23-year-olds out there watching even know what Charlie's Angels is, okay? It's a great old-timey American TV show. But ADP of 103. Ended the season at 141. I actually can't believe he ended the season at 141, Doc. His 9 cap per game was 115th. Is this the new norm for Caruso, or should we expect some positive regression next year?
It's funny, if you look at his stats, you're like, they're not that much different than they were last year. I mean, they are, but it's not crazy. He went from 10 points to 7. He went from 1 block to 0.6. He went from 1.7 steals to 1.6 steals. The rebounds, he's down 1 rebound, 3.8 to 2.9. So I'm looking at him like, man, the numbers are down, but they're not crazy down. And I felt like last year with just a little bit more production, he actually had a lot more value, or at least according to the rankings he did. The difference is there's 2 differences. He went to go to Oklahoma City from Chicago. He started in 57 games for Chicago. He started in 3 for Oklahoma City this year. He played 29 minutes a game in Chicago. He played 19 minutes a game for OKC. He stuck behind SGA. He stuck behind Jalen Williams, Lou Dort. He's challenged by Isaiah Joe, like Cason Wallace. Like, there's all these guys. They have so much talent. I think that he was an incredible addition to this team in their hopes of winning a championship, because I'm sure he's a great teammate. He plays hard D, hustles and works so hard when he's out there. But he's just doesn't do enough, doesn't get enough minutes to help a fantasy team. As long as he's in OKC, well, really, I don't know that it matters where he goes at this point, because I feel like he was in an ideal situation in Chicago the year before last. And that's over. And that was it. So I think this is who he is.
He's a victim of the depth of OKC, because I thought he was going to go to OKC and be a top 6 rotational guy behind Chet, Isaiah, SGA, J-Dub, and Dort. I thought Caruso would be that next guy. That next guy has changed. It's been very fluid. You mentioned some of the guys. Aaron Wiggins is in that mix. Kenrich Williams is in that mix. And you mentioned Cason Wallace and I forget the other guy that you mentioned. And Dort. And so there's just too many guys. And so I do not expect positive regression from Alex Caruso. I freaking love Alex Caruso. But his fantasy value died when he left Chicago, just like Drew Holiday leaving Milwaukee. Chet Holmgren, Doc, another OKC player next up here. ADP of 18 coming into the year. Ended up 61st. That's a minus 43. 8 cat totals were 218th. Obviously, all the missed games. 9 cat per game, he was 48. And 9 cat totals, he was 207th. Is this the new norm for Chet, or should we expect positive regression next year?
Well, his rookie year when he somehow played in all 82 games. Well, was that his rookie year? I guess it was because he sat out his actual rookie year, but played 82 games, played 29 and a half minutes a game. This year, he missed 50 out of 82 games. He only played in 32. His minutes were at 27.4. So he was getting 2 minutes less per game. And Isaiah Hartenstein was there to pick up the slack and kind of mess with Chet. Like Chet messes with Hartenstein and Hartenstein messes with Chet as far as fantasy goes. But 15 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 2.2 blocks, 0.7 steals, 1.4 threes. Good shooting, decent free throws. I have no problem with Chet. And how much of a flow can you get in being hurt all year and only playing 32 games? So a little bit disappointing. And the arrival of Hartenstein, I think, should temper our expectations some going forward, as long as they're playing together. But I still love Chet Holmgren. I'm not fading him too much because of this.
I expect positive regression from him next year. He was down 2 minutes per game this year. He was down 1.5 points per game this year. He went from 59% from the field to 50, or maybe that was 53 to 49. I think I had a typo there.
That's right.
It was at 53 to 49. A little bit of a drop there. And then from 1.63s down to 1.4. So just like minor little downturns, right? And I think Doc hit it. It's because of the injury. It's because of the kid gloves. It's because of the slightly lower minutes. Because OKC's clobbering every single team, and they don't need 30 minutes from Chet. 28 minutes, we pull you late third. We don't even need you in the fourth quarter because we're OKC. So, I'm going to love Chet Holmgren going into next year. The combination of threes, the combination of blocks. You guys know I'm completely geeked and obsessed with that. So, I like Chet Holmgren to me as a second-round pick next year. Absolutely, positively a second-round pick. The combination of goodies, assuming he's healthy going in, I'm not going to be like, oh, the other shoe's going to drop on Chet. The other shoe could drop on every single player in this league. Luka missed a big chunk of games this year, okay? So injuries could hit any player at any time. So I don't, Chet is most definitely not on the I'll never draft him again list. I will be very excited to have Chet on my team next year. How about Zach Edey, Doc? He had an ADP of 98th coming into the year. A little bit surprising there. Ended up 131st, which is a minus 33. 8 cat totals, he was 116th. 9 cat per game, he was 134. And 9 cat totals, he was 111. Is this the new norm for Zach Edey, or should we expect positive regression in his second year?
Dare I say, Zach Edey is your guy. I'm expecting positive things from Edey going forward. He's going to be the biggest guy on the court in the games he plays on. And he showed up in Memphis, and they're like, guess what? You're starting center. It went from, when he got drafted in the NBA, people were like, oh, he doesn't have the game. Like he doesn't have the stamina. He's not a shooter. He can't survive out there in starters minutes, especially as a rookie. And I feel like he did. I think from this point forward, the guy is a walking double-double. He can lead the league in rebounding. He's going to score in double figures every night for them. And he's going to block 2 shots, if not more, every night out. He's not going to be a big assist guy. He's not going to hit a bunch of threes. He's not going to dazzle you in any other areas. But for the points, rebounds, and blocks, the PRB, I like Edey, and I think he's locked into that for the next 10 years.
Is Izalo going to be the coach of Memphis next year? Have they found their guy? Because that's my only worry about Zach Edey, is that Memphis gets swept. They say, Coach Izalo, thank you, and get the hell out of here now. And I don't know if Ja Morant likes him or not, but you better buddy up with Ja Morant because he'll get you whacked. Just call up your boy Taylor Jenkins. So I don't know, but I love how Coach Izalo is using Zach Edey. He's starting him. He's playing him a lot of minutes and all this kind of stuff. So, and I would think, Doc, that even if Izalo's not the guy, that Zach Kleiman is going to tell the next coach, don't get it twisted. You're playing Zach Edey 30 minutes a game. So I'm very bullish on Zach Edey coming into next year. He's a mountain of a man. He's got better feet than was given credit coming out of college. He's got some of the best. He doesn't have great hands for rebounding. Dig downs can really knock the ball out of his hands. He's not ball strong in that regard, in that one little niche area of rebounding. But the touch, like I've said, he's the 2025 Rick Smits, man. If you're like, who's Rick Smits? Look him up. Okay, one of the greats from back in the 90s. Played with Reggie Miller. Hello, get with it. I believe Zach Edey is going to live in the top 100 for the next decade. I believe he's a double-double guy. He's going to approach 2 blocks per game. Be like, I don't know if it's 10 and 10, 13 and 12, 14 and 11. I don't know. It's going to be around there. I think he might lead the NBA in rebounding next year if he gets the appropriate amount of minutes. I literally think he could go 14, 15 rebounds a game. I literally do. Okay, so I'm going to be very, very high on Zach Edey going into next year. Mikal Bridges, Doc, came into, we're talking busts here on the Fantasy NBA today. It is Rick Kamla, Hall of Famer Steve Alexander. Please, guys, go to our app, go to your favorite app store and download the Sports Ethos app. It's just about the coolest thing in the world right now. And the Sports Ethos app is a sign of the big investments we're making into Sports Ethos and the next generation of it. Over the last 12 months, it's been a game changer for us. We're blowing up, all right, on all fronts. And we're working hard behind the scenes to create the best fantasy experience for you and you and you and you, okay? Download our app now and stay on top of all the latest news for the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. Take advantage of our fantasy basketball tools. Our app is your ultimate edge. Don't miss out. Doc, let's talk about Mikal Bridges. Went from 54 to 93, a minus 39. 8 cat totals were still a solid 42nd. 9 cat per game was 84th, and 9 cat totals were number 42, and of course played 81.1 games this year. So is this the new norm for Mikal, or do you expect some positive regression?
You know, I don't know what to think about Mikal. Like when he was in Phoenix, he was just emerging and like emerging as almost like a fantasy superstar, right? Like all the numbers were there. He's a fantasy friendly guy, and I think everybody got excited about it. And then he got traded to Brooklyn, and he was going to be the man in Brooklyn, right? We're like, oh, here it comes. And even that year, he got traded. At the end of the season, he was at 26 points. Everything looked great. And then he got the keys to the car were handed to him the year before last when he played a full season in Brooklyn, and it just kind of fell flat, 20 points. Like the numbers are still okay, but they're not like second or third round value okay. And then he goes to New York, and we're like, oh, there goes Josh Hart. He's going to take all these people out in New York. They kind of took him out. Like Josh Hart doesn't care who's playing next to him. He's going to ball out. Karl Anthony Towns did not miss a beat with Mikal Bridges. And Bridges has now just become a glue guy that kind of holds everything together. And he's a great guy in reality to have in your lineup. Fantasy-wise, I'm afraid as long as he's playing for good teams or teams – I don't even know how to say it. In his current state on the Knicks, I think this is who he is.
I agree with everything you're saying, Doc. I do. This is the new norm for Mikal. He does have a contractual thing coming up. I guess he could be traded or not, but the Knicks have a decision to make on Mikal Bridges. But here's the drop-off from last year to this year. He went from 19 points to 17. He went from 4 rebounds down to 3. He went from 2.73s down to 2. He's not a PRA guy. He's not a PRA guy. He's not a rebound or assist guy. And he's not a fantasy gold guy. I mean, he's a pretty good three-point shooter, a decent steal guy. To me, the fact that Mikal Bridges is not 2 steals per game, I just don't understand it. He's defensive-minded. He's a good athlete. He's got quick twitch, and he's got arms that literally go down to the floor. I think he's got a 7-foot wingspan. I literally don't understand how he's not. I mean, at least 1.5. Donovan frickin' Mitchell is at 1.5, 1.7 steals per game. How is Mikal Bridges not a 1.7 steals per game? I just don't understand that. Okay. I'm not a Mikal Bridges guy. It's a stat set thing. So I don't expect positive regression next year. I agree with everything Doc said. He's a really good player in reality. He's a so-so player in fantasy. And I think, those rankings that I gave were pretty favorable. A lot better than I kind of thought with my gut test and eye test on him this year. But again, rankings are a good tool, but they're not the end-all be-all. They don't tell the whole story, and counting numbers means so much more than percentages. I know Bruce's going to disagree with that. I know Andre's probably going to disagree with that. But I mean, and I'm not even going to play the resume card because these guys are badasses too. It's just a fundamental difference in how we view fantasy basketball, and it works for them over there, and it works for me over here. And we'll just leave it at that. Drew Holiday, ADP of 80th coming into the year, 116th coming out. I kind of can't believe he ended a 120 player, okay? That's a minus 36 in ranking spots. 8 cat totals, he was 119th. 9 cat per game, he was 107. 9 cat totals, he was 103rd. New norm for Drew, or should we expect some positive regression next year, Doc?
I think it's the new norm. I know last year we were all excited about Derek White, and then they signed or traded for Drew Holiday, and we're like, oh man, there goes Derek White. Well, it didn't hurt Derek White at all. In fact, Derek White was awesome, and Drew Holiday was kind of quiet, behind the scenes kind of guy. And this year, the same thing. I don't think he's the defensive stud that he used to be. I don't think he moves as well as he used to move. And they've got all these guys. They got Peyton Pritchard, just named the 6th man of the year. They got Derek White. They got Sam Hauser. They have Jaylen Brown. They don't need Drew Holiday as much as I wish they needed him when it comes to fantasy. Another thing, Drew Holiday is about to turn 35 years old. There's a reason his numbers are on the decline. There's a reason he's not moving as well.
He's 35?
In June.
Really?
He is 35.
Damn, time flies, bro. If you said how old is Drew Holiday, I might have said 34. I probably would have said 33, though. I would not have said 35.
He's 34 right now, but in next month, 2 months from now, he's 35. So, which means he's 35 coming into next season. That's not good. Not good at all. Bye-bye. I'm out. It's over. Good role player for the Celtics, though.
Drew Holiday died as a fantasy player when he left Milwaukee. Remember those years, 17, 18, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 7 or 8 assists, really, really good defensive numbers, and I don't know, 2.5 threes a game. Giddy up. That player is no longer with us, folks. The PRA drop-off from his first year in Boston at 12-5-5 to this year at 11-4-4. It's only 1 point, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. But 12-5-5 looks so much better than 11-4-4. Maybe that's just me. He went in last year, he did have a little uptick in the steals up to 1.1. He was below that his first year in Boston, and he hit 1.7 threes per game. He is clinging to life as a fantasy basketball player that stays above waivers. He's like looking down, and it's like a pit full of snakes and alligators below him. Don't drop me to waivers. Don't. I'm still Drew Holiday. That's who he is right now, holding on for dear life to not be a waiver wire guy. Klay Thompson already let go of the rope. He's down there with the alligators and the snakes right now. And you know what? They're not eating him. They're hanging out with him because that's how cool Klay Thompson is. So Klay, you're our boy. Come on in here, man. They ain't chomping on Klay Thompson. Come on. All right, so that's where I'm at with Drew Holiday. I do not expect any positive regression. As a matter of fact, I think the numbers are going to continue to kind of decline. And I think next year he will officially become a waiver wire guy. Tyus Jones, ADP of 117, ended at 152. That's a minus 35. New norm for Tyus Jones, or do we expect some positive regression?
I don't really know why we were expecting such big things from him this year to begin with. You look at his stat line over his career. He had one good year, and that was last year in Washington. 12.7 assists, a steal, 1.5 threes.
It's one of the reasons I didn't win the 30 deep title that year. It's because they shut him down.
That was it.
Can't get
he
it right.
played 66 games. They shut him down at the end. So
Can't get it right.
I think the thought process coming into this year was, oh, he's going to start at point guard in Phoenix. And he's got all those weapons, the big three to throw it to. That didn't work out very well. Toxic environment. Beal, Durant's gone. Coach Bud was he literally was poison ivy to that team. And it just didn't go well for Tyus. But the numbers this year look a lot more similar to all the rest of his numbers. That season in Washington was an outlier. So I think this is who Tyus is. If he does get a starting job again next year, I don't see why we all won't take the bait just in case. I mean, Phoenix being as bad as they were and such a disaster is not Tyus Jones' fault.
It's not, Doc. If he goes to like Brooklyn and is their starting point guard, playing 28 minutes a game, putting up 12 points and 7 assists, he'll be back on the fantasy radar. But remember who Tyus Jones was before Washington. He was the backup to Ja Morant in Memphis. He was considered by many to be the best backup point guard in the entire NBA. All right. And he's a bench player. He's a bench player. And that's who he is. So I do not expect a positive regression from Tyus Jones. By the way, the Suns lied to him to get him to go there on a veteran minimum contract. They said, you'll start and all this. And then they pulled that out from under him. And so he's like, you idiots lied to me. And so he will not be a Sun. He'll be on another team. And I think he will be a very good bench player for a team. I think he's a waiver wire guy. Jaylen Brown came in with an ADP of 40, came out with a ranking of 73. That's a minus 33, Doc. New norm for Jaylen Brown, or do you expect positive regression next season from JB?
You know, there's no blocks. The assists and rebounds don't pop, but they're not bad. The points the scoring doesn't pop, but it's not bad. It was down this year. It was down to 22 a game. Whereas he was at 23, 26, 23, 24 the previous seasons. So it was kind of a down year. The free throw shooting is his biggest bugaboo. You know, he shoots in the 70s. That brings his rating down. And he's always been drafted higher than where he finishes in the season rankings. It happens every single year. And it just is what it is. And, you know, the places he's being brought down are places you, Rick, normally don't care about. And I really don't care about him that much. But Jaylen Brown's not a guy I ever reach for. If he falls to me where I want him, I'll take him. But I'm never going to reach for Jaylen Brown. I think he just is who he is. And you point out earlier, I don't know if it's this show or last show, you know, if he was on his own team, just like Jalen Williams in OKC, if those guys could get to a spot where they were the man, we might see a whole different thing.
A whole different thing. J-Dub could be a 27 to 30 point per game guy. Jalen could be a 27 to 30 point per game guy with a million shots, with it being their team. Minor drop-offs this season. Minor, okay? And he's coming off the championships. So you knew they were going to rest a little bit more and be a little bit more careful this year. He did have a couple of injuries, but he was down 0.8 points per game, down from 50 from the field to 46, down from 2.1 threes to 1.8. I believe that we will get positive regression next year because I don't think the Celtics are going to win the chip. I think OKC is. That's going to create more urgency for Boston next year. They didn't win the East this year. Cleveland did. And so I think after like Boston can be like, yo, let's really get back into super go for it mode here. And I think Jaylen Brown's going to plug into that and have a statistical uptick. How about Tobias Harris, Doc? Tobias Harris went from, let me get to my notes here, an ADP of 65th to 98th in end season ranking. That's a minus 33. New norm for Tobias, or do you expect positive regression next year in his second year with the Pistonians?
You know, I think it's the new norm. Again, that dude's getting ready to turn 33 years old before the start of next season. 33 is not very young for an NBA player. I mean, he's been in the league since 2011. That's a long time ago. I was right and wrong about Tobias Harris last year. I'm not a Tobias Harris guy. I didn't draft him anywhere. I had zero interest. He was a little better than I thought he was going to be, though. He was playing for a young Detroit team, and I thought they were going to go young all year and not really give Harris a role, but they did give him a role, and he's been pretty good. And he's one of their leaders in the playoffs. So, but I think it is what it is. He's past his prime. He's on the other side of the window, which is closing, and the numbers are going to keep dropping every year. So I'm not. This is who he is, and he actually may be a little worse than this next year.
I agree. Ron Holland is going to be in this mix, right? Number 5 draft pick or whatever he was. Osar Thompson I believe, is only going to get better, and role's going to expand. So look, I think Tobias Harris is going to be solid, but I do he went from believe it or not, in Philly last year he was 17-6-3. Pretty good PRA. He went down to 14-6-2. That's ironic. You're playing with Maxey, you're playing with Embiid, and then you go to Detroit and they lose Jaden Ivey and your PRA goes down significantly. What's up with that? Kind of weird, right? But I think it's a sign of what's coming here from Tobias Harris. I do not expect positive regression. I think this is the new norm for him. And he just doesn't really have a stat set that fits for me. Not a great PRA guy, not a great fantasy gold guy. He's not one of Cam's guys. Rudy Gobert, Doc, last guy we'll talk about here. ADP of 47, final ranking of 76. That's a minus 29. New norm for Rudy, or do you expect positive regression next year?
I think we were all hoping for more with Cat not being in Minnesota, and Rudy kind of had it all to himself, and the numbers still went down. 12 points, 10.9 boards. That is a dip. And the blocks down from 2.1 to 1.4. There's no threes. He's a terrible free throw shooter. And the thing that really bothers me about Rudy is everybody went at him this year. It's like defensive player, my ass, I'm not a Rudy Gobert guy. And I think this is the new version of Rudy Gobert, who I might add is about to turn 33 years old.
I think the numbers are going to be even worse next year. I think the decline has begun. Guys, in the first 2 games against the LA Lakers in the playoff series, he has 8 points and 12 rebounds total, okay? Major drop-off this season from 14 points to 12, 13 rebounds to 11, 2.1 blocks to 1.4. I mean, next year he might be 10-9 with 1.1 blocks. We're going the wrong way here. The only way his value billows is if Minnesota loses Naz Reid this offseason. If Minnesota brings back Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, we're right back into the same soup. And so I do not expect positive regression from Rudy Gobert, barring a Naz Reid departure. All right, I'm going to speed through some picks, Doc, for Thursday night so we can get out of here in the time that we need to. New York at Detroit. I like the Knicks at a +1. I think it's a back-and-forth series. I think they take a bite out of Detroit. I like Cat's point over at 22.5. I like Brunson's point over at 28.5. He's gone 34 and 37. Cat's coming off a 10-point game. Beasley at over 14.5 points. He's coming off of a 2 of 9. Tobias Harris over 14 points. He's been 25 and 15 in their first 2 games. OKC at Memphis. I like OKC minus 8.5 here, guys. They have blown out Memphis in 6 consecutive games. I think it happens again. And I like J-Dub's point over at 21.5. He's gone 24 and 21. SGA's 2 priced out at 32.5. Then Denver at the Clippers. I like Denver +5 here. I'll take the 5 points. And I think Nikola Jokic is going to have a savage game. He stunk by his standards in game 2. I'm on his point over at 26.5. His rebound over at 11.5. His assist over at 9.5. And his triple-double prop at +140. And I like Jamal Murray over 20.5 points. He's gone 21 and 24 in the first 2 games. Book it, baby.
Nice job, Rick. I think you're going to get us out of here in time. I think you said the Knicks were getting points. They're a 1.5 point favorite.
Oh, that line has shifted big time. I'm still on the Knicks, and that shift creates a whoa. You got to go with the whoa. Hey, we want you guys to go to your favorite app store and download the Sports Ethos app. And did you know that we have fantasy leagues at Sports Ethos right now? To gain priority access and to join, DM at ANDMLEMOS on Twitter or email us support@sportsethos.com. For Doc and Andre, I'm Cam. We'll see you next time. This episode's been brought to you by Bet Online.